Hey guys, this is Odd1 Gaming. This is going to be another Dragonair Silent Gods video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Temporal Vortex again, and I want to touch a little bit on the Temporal Vortex Stage 4, right? Things start to be changing in Temporal Vortex from the third difficulty, but then the fourth one, we have that extra layer of difficulty. What do I mean? Well, if you look at Stage 2, for example, we have, or Stage 1, they're kind of similar, same thing, AoE hit over here, AoE hit on this one, and then AoE hit on this one, but then we have the single target hit and says deals damage to the enemy with the highest max HP, right? So Stage 1 and 2 are pretty straightforward, the same. Now if we move over to Stage 3, we have same thing, just AoE hit on this, AoE hit on this, same thing over here. However, the single target hit starts to change and says deals damage to enemy with the highest max HP, but the damage receives a bonus from the enemy's max HP. So normally the way that you want to do, or the way that you want to work around this one, is make sure that a person who's going to take this single target hit has the highest max HP, but at the same time give them a ton of defense as well, right? Because if they only have max HP, they're going to die pretty fast. So you want to make sure that they have a lot of defense. I'm going to show you as an example how I'm using my Astaion in my team build. It's not perfect, but still the way that I'm kind of doing it. Then when we get to Stage 4, we're going to have another change where this one's the same, this one's the same, this one, the single target is the same, you know, still takes the damage boost, but the second AoE also inflicts defense penalty for 18 seconds. It's the small version only, but it still can be really painful if if you don't have your team to be tanky enough. Now, the way that you would usually go about this one is either you try and bring somebody that puts debuff immunity before the 15-second mark, so you block the defense penalty, or you bring somebody that cleanses it after that one happens, right? There's lots of cleansers, there's lots of healers that do cleansing, so that's how you would tackle it. However, at the same time, you would always try to just look at your team and see if you're better off just ignoring that, right? Because sometimes bringing somebody that does cleansing for this hit might mean that you're losing out on something else, like, I don't know, bigger version of defense penalty or stuff like that. So as an example, let's say you bring somebody that brings a cleanse and just like a small heal for this one, or somebody brings debuff immunity and a small heal, but that doesn't help you enough, because you might still die the same. However, if you just ignore this defense penalty, right, but you bring somebody that brings the same thing, the defense penalty, the defense increase 1, or brings the defense increase 2, you might be better off to have that defense increase 2 with some healing instead of just cleansing it, right? So as an example, I'm not even bringing that. I'm just going to show the team that I'm using. This is, this has not been perfectly built. This is still the same team that I used before, but I just want to show you how this team is going and how it's getting. Honestly, I think it's getting close to that 100 million, but still, I'm still, there's still lots of work to be done. There's still the Psychic Core that needs to be upgraded. There's a lot of improvements that team can go through. So you can see that pretty much I don't have anybody that cleanses it. The only one that does a little bit of a cleanse of that defense penalty for me is going to be Cinerel, and that's only on single target, right? So whoever he's gonna use his ultimate on as a single target, that's the one that has all the debuffs dispelled, which in our case is just a defense penalty. But at the same time, it just still comes down to team synergy, right? From my point of view, team synergy is always better than just having that 5 elemental affinity, maybe up until you get to the point where you're getting to the last bonus of the Psychic Core, where you get more damage mitigation. Then you might be better off to just drop your perfect team synergy just to hit that 5-man elemental affinity. So the way that this team works is pretty straightforward. I have 3 shadow people that do damage, one of which is Taldi that does my defense penalty. Then have Astaion that is, Astaion's really amazing for that passive, because with that passive it takes part of the defense and the HP of the boss, which means we do a little bit more damage. Also, it boosts the one with the highest attack, it boosts their HP and defense, part of what they stole. In my case, it's gonna be Cinerel, right? That's the one that has the highest attack, because Cinerel's healing is based off of attack, right? On that ultimate, and same thing with the battle skill. So you see that I get to like 89 million, almost 90 million, just without having that defense penalty, or without just, caring about it pretty much. And I'm pretty happy with this, right? I'm pretty happy with this. However, one thing that you might want to keep in mind is you might want to do some timings if you have some different teams. So what do I mean by that? Let's say, as an example, I bring somebody like, who should I bring? Let's say I bring Eladia, right? You have Cinorel, you bring Eladia on the team. Well, think about it like this. She does on her ultimate a hit that lands shields on everybody, and then that paired with her passive that says when an ally under his shield is attacked has a chance to land attack penalty. Well, that means that what you would be trying to do is you would try to work around with presets, okay? So those presets would be something like this. Let's say throw this team in there. Let's say you would go with the presets and you would just put Eladia to use her ultimate every 20 seconds, right? Because that's the full rotation. But then when we're talking about when do you want to land it, well, let's think about it. We have 3 AoE hits that we want to cover, but you want to have attack penalty for most of the fight, which is going to be, as an example, let's say we put the shield at 21.5, okay? Let's start the fight and let's see how it goes, and let me show you exactly what I mean by this. So I'm just going to slow it down once we get to the ultimate, just so you see exactly how important having the right timing actually is. So let's see, almost there. Okay, we do this, boom, boom. Okay, so now 21.5. Before we get hit with ultimate, we land that. We see we landed the attack penalty. We're covered on the attack penalty for the first AoE, for the second AoE, which is, you know, the first in the rotation. But then at the same time, we're still going to have attack penalty for the single target hit. And that's really important. So keep in mind that, let's say, Eladia for you in your team is going to be the one that does attack penalty, okay? So if you land the attack penalty at 21.5, it's going to cover you for 3 hits. This is the best time to do that attack penalty because it covers the most of it, right? If you do it any other position as the only attack penalty, you're not going to get the maximum benefit of it. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, let's say I replaced Finja with somebody else that does the cleansing or debuffing. You know what, let's just have a quick look. Let me show you what you could do. So let's go in there. Let's just go to filters and let's put what is it, debuff block. Let's see, debuff block, where is it? Why can I not find it? Buff, okay, debuff block, okay, there we go. So let's say we put that in somebody else in spot of Finja. Let's say we put, I don't know, somebody like a Fires, okay? That's the first one that comes in mind. We put Fires in there. Well, how would you do this? Well, you would just pretty much go over here again in the presets. I'm just going to show you in the same team. Let's say you would swap for Finja's that one. You would just still do the same every 20 seconds, so you land it at the same time. But then you would do like something like 14.5 or 14, because when the boss does the defense penalty is at the 15-second mark, right? So you want to land that before. If you do a cleansing, if you bring somebody brings a cleanse, you would do it before this point, right? Or sorry, after this point, after the 15-second mark. However, if your cleanser also brings a defense up or a different buff like that, you put it at the same time that you put the attack penalty, right? Because let's say you'd have it at 21.5, right? Let's say Astyon brings for me defense up and cleansing. The best example for that would be Gillian, right? Gillian does that. He does a cleanse and then puts defense up. The reason why you would want it again to be at the 21.5 mark is because you're going to be covered for 3 hits. The ultimate, the first AoE, and then also the single target hit. And then obviously the damage dealers are going to be whichever you want to use. Now, if I show you the team combination that I'm using, I believe this one to be the best when it comes to the gear sets, right? So I'm not talking about the best combination of having attack penalty, cleansing, defense up, you know, all of that good stuff, but I'm just talking about what are going to be the best gear sets that you want to have in this team to make it work as well as possible. So first of all, whoever's going to be the one that in your team has what's it called? Who's going to be in your team that has it's going to take the single target hit, right? Which in my case is going to be Astyon. You want to have the Hope of Oasis set on them because you want them to take less damage, otherwise they might die first. Why do I say this? Well, when the warrior has over 60% HP, they take 25% less damage. So always your single target hit taker, you will want to have this one if you want to try and survive as much as possible in that team. Now, secondly, the second thing that you want to have is whoever's going to be your best debuffer, or if you have a shadow team and you have somebody that does debuffs every 10 seconds in a shadow team, you want to make sure they have the Cyril's Whisper, or For example, in my case, in this example of a team, this is not necessarily the one that I'm using, but just as an example, Cinerelle can land debuffs on the battle skill and ultimate just through the passive, right? Whenever the skill hits an enemy, has a chance to land attack penalty. So if you have somebody in the team that does debuffs on the battle skill and on the ultimate, that's going to be the one that you're going to want to have Serious Whisper on 100% in all the teams, because that's going to be 15% attack for all of your team. That's going to be massive over a long duration of a fight. And then the third set, which is going to be really important, is going to be the Ancestral Protection, right? The 3 sets, I made a video on it talking about the Grave of Curse and saying that when it comes to Temporal Vortex, you want to make sure you have all 3 of those sets from the Grave of Curse in your Vortex team to try and survive as long as possible, if that's the way that you can do the best damage possible, right? If your team can do more damage in like lower turns and then you just go full on damage, then go ahead with that. But if you want to try and survive as much as possible, you want to have Ancestral Protection. Again, this is going to be on your second tankiest person, right? Preferably somebody like a healer. In my case, in this team, it's going to be Finja. The reason for that is Ancestral Protection. The wearer takes 15% less damage. First of all, takes 15% of the damage that the allies would take, and then gains 15% damage reduction, which means she's gonna take 15% less damage but soak up some of the damage from everybody else. And the perfect combination for this is gonna be, again, not just going full crazy on HP, you wanna have a decent amount of defense as well, because otherwise you're gonna take so much damage through the Ancestral Protection set that your person that wears it is just gonna die pretty fast. And then damage dealer is pretty straightforward, whichever is going to be best for you. For example, for me, the best set is going to be the Echo of War, right? This one gives me a ton of attack speed, and that's the perfect set for people in that are using Shadow, right? Same thing for Espalta. Now, when it comes to the perfect combination of using the artifacts, right? You 100% want to have somebody that has the Witch's Remains, right? Or the shell, right? The Conquered Shell, whatever it's called, because you want to have defense penalty in this fight. If you don't have defense penalty, you're going to lose on a ton of damage. So mandatory Witch's Remains on someone in the team. Then secondly, your damage dealer should have your best damage artifact. In my case, it's going to be the Nightmare Orb, but then there's also the Poison of Swamp. That's, unless you have an exclusive one, the Poison of Swamp is the next best thing, right? The best artifact when it comes to damage dealers. So you want to have that on your main damage dealer. Then if you move over to supports, if you have a team that can do massive shields through healings, you want to have like somebody like a Cinerelle, somebody like a Garius, a Finja. You want to make sure you have Gatekeeper staff on them, because these massive shields are going to make you be able to survive longer and longer in the fight, and that's just going to be huge. Then if you use somebody like an Astaion, for example, let me see if I have it on Finja. I did try to use a Craven's Eye Patch to try and make her survive more from getting damage from that single target hit. However, this might be the case where in certain teams this might be better, right? A perfect example of a wearer that can have this is if you have your single target hit to go on Ardreth, right? If you have Ardreth in the team, this is one of the best ones you can give her, so she survives more and more. That way you can give her this one, and in combination with the Hope of Oasis, you can sustain that one for quite a long time. However, if you don't want to go with this and you want to get to maximum damage that you can and still get survivability, you can go with the Horn, right? You can go with the Horn on somebody like Astaion, right? Because it gives you damage over time. Even if it's not Astaion, let's say you have somebody like a Megan that does recovery over time, it's still going to be amazing, because every time that recovery over time does some healing, you will gain that 5% damage boost. It goes again 15% more straight up damage, not attack up, just 15% more damage. So the Solar King's Horn is going to be just extremely powerful. Then another one that you can try and get into the team would be if you can afford it, is going to be the Chest of Radiance. So, you know, at the end of the day, you're just going to be looking what's going to be the best combination of artifacts and gear sets that you can get in your team to try and push it to the next level. I'm going to try and have a look maybe of improving on this team, and once I improve it and maybe get to that 100 million damage, I'm going to try and make a video on it and show you how I can do it. It's not going to be as good as the Rook teams, unfortunately, but still, I'm pretty happy as long as I can keep myself in the top 150, which you can see over here I'm 91. I'm happy with that, because unfortunately, if you don't have a Rook team or you don't have extremely powerful, extremely powerful heroes, really strong gear, it's hard to compete to top 50. So, 150 is okay for me for now. But anyway, we're gonna leave it at this for today, guys. I hope this was helpful and fun for you, because you know what? Again, Temporal Vortex is one of the most important areas of the game, considering it's a season-based game, and it gives you the currency that counts for the season ranking. So you wanna focus this as much as you can up until you get to the point to the other world exploration. But yeah. Thank you all for watching. As always, if you do enjoy my content, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel to see when I upload next, and gonna see you on the next one. Peace, love, take care, everyone. Bye, guys.